Not too bad. How are you?
Good, good. So I love the film. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. You work with darkness a lot, like the visuals of the witch, the black and white negative for the lighthouse, also the Northman, like lighting plays
Yeah.
a huge significant role. I guess for you, did you take any inspiration or incorporate any themes from the other films for Nosferatu?
Not a lot. I mean, I think the first one is just going to be, in the zeitgeist, it's going to be in the, collective unconscious, whatever, subconscious. So it exists there, and he first mentioned them, we might try to make this movie. He mentioned that in like 2015, and that's probably the last time I watched the movie because you have to. But at that point, I thought maybe we're waiting a year and a half, not 10. So, but that's cool that it's absorbed deep into you as a whatever creative person, and then it has so much time to just work its way out in a way that you are also, it's coming through you. So that's the best.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And you've worked with Eggers for over 17 years. How do you
Well, that's only
communicate?
I mean,
Huh?
that's when we met. We made a short film, and then
Yeah.
we didn't work at all because we couldn't get a job, or I certainly couldn't. And then we're just hanging out, being friends, and then just learning each other and each other's aesthetic tastes, and then you finally get The Witch made. But we made The Witch. I knew him for 7 years when that movie got shot. So, and then we're 10 years past that. So yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
guys made a beautiful partnership.
a
How do you,
long
I
marriage.
guess, work
Yeah.
together to design your visual strategy, especially for like the tone of the films and bringing something new to Nosferatu, separating it from the silent film?
But that's why I think it's important to like. I mean, Robbo, he does his research like crazy. I mean, it's everybody knows that. Yeah. As far as like aesthetics, I'll look at stuff as early as I can. I'll look at stuff he chooses to send me, but I kind of like to be a little naive too, and and that's maybe what I hope to. That naivete hopefully helps it become I don't know. That's just my like Rob might be better at sort of synthesizing all these things, whereas I just kind of like to be fresh to an extent, and maybe that'll help distinguish it, from what I can contribute.
Like it does a beautiful job of depicting Germany and like Romani folklore, and like the Gothic like jury gray practical sets. How did you go about setting the tone for such like iconic scenes like Orlok's castle? Another scene that really stood out was like the window scene and the carriage with Thomas. How was it kind of going about like setting the tone for this?
Oh, it's hard to talk about other than you just test some things like, for night exteriors, like, I'll still test just like photographic fundamentals, like lighting ratios, on a night exterior, like, and just whatever ratios feel good, you know. They were slightly different for the Northman, but not a lot. And then we're just tweaking the color a little bit between this one and the last one. But yeah, you just sort of test some ratios and some lenses, and you kind of, you have a feeling, and then plus whatever you brought from the last movie with some more variation, and you kind of curate it from there. So, um, yeah, it's also been working this movie so long. It's like I don't know. It's like the path here is so long. Like I don't know what fork we took to arrive at here sometimes.
And yeah, speaking of formats and lenses, it was 35 millimeter. How is it
Right.
shooting in this format, and what are some of your personal favorite formats of lenses to work with?
Oh, it depends. It depends on the piece. I mean, I think for Rob Reiger's movie, I do. The Baltars keep coming back. They're just there's something about them that's just, it's so subtle because like the lenses are really the last 2% of an image, unless you get something really wacky. But um, yeah, there's certain lenses we keep reaching back for, but yeah, every movie I try to innovate too. So I had I had a 19th century design made for a movie camera that had never been used in movies before. And that gave a pictorialist something extra to kind of the Warlock and Nightmare and Dream stuff. Um, but yeah, and then film, we just, it's just a lovely patina and a lovely palette, and the colors are so complex that it just stick with that.
And you've worked on other films such as Blood Night, Down a Dark Hole, and other horror films. Do you really enjoy making horror? Is that your favorite genre to
No,
work with?
no. I
No.
mean, it's like, well, yeah, I don't really watch them. I think it's funny that you brought up the second movie I ever made, which, is a slasher and is not really but that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I just enjoy I mean, I guess probably horror is a more appropriate medium for just having strong lighting, or just simple chiaroscuro, really. It's just like pick a source, do it well, don't have lights everywhere. And that, horror really is a very useful, rewarding medium for that, even if it's like I don't necessarily, you know, need to do darkness all the time, personally, but it's kind of a very fruitful playground if I like just rich lighting.
And any advice you would like to give cinematographers?
I mean, it's hard because everyone kind of gets there themselves, which is a really lame answer. I remember hearing it myself. But yeah, don't be anyone else. Just be yourself because, that old cliche, everybody else is taken, but I don't know that what I did was the right thing because I just kind of have a very narrow view of what I want to do, and being so rigid really was very limiting for a very, very long time, but it probably enabled me to go further now, So who knows? I'd be still doing reality TV or interviews or something if I just kind of got too loose too early. I don't know. And then before you know it, you're kind of down that other path. So um, yeah, just find what's interesting to you and stick to it, and as long as you can afford to do so.
And who are some of your filmmaking influences?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I just rewatched with a friend, like, my two favorite Gordon Willis movies, which were Godfather 2, which I think is his best lighting, and it's just an awesome movie, even though like tonally it has two different pieces um, that may or may not fit together, but it's still such a good movie that it's fine. And then yeah, for camera, the movie Manhattan really influenced me a lot. Just not a Nosferatu necessarily, but I think early on when I was just trying to think of new ways to block scenes and what could be just a talking head romantic comedy. It's like, no, we're just going to have people in and out of frame, and you can sit on a doorway and hear a voice, and it's still funny, and it's still, uh, you know, comedy needs tension too, and then they reappear, and it's just showing me new ways to block and shoot things. When I was at an impressionable age of early 20s. And I was also shooting, white wall apartment movies. And then, yeah, probably another movie that really kicked me in the crotch was Tarkovsky's Mirror, because I know it's like the art house pretentious answer, but it's true. It's like it's a totally compelling movie, and it has like no story. I'm just like in a dream, and it's totally bewitching, and I'm just like in a trance watching this movie, and it's like these are my memories, but I grew up, in the 90s in Central Oregon. I did not, during World War II in Russia. So, but it still feels personal to me, and that's sort of that still has it's a well of yeah, a, an endless stream of inspiration. That one.
Yeah, that's interesting that you bring that up because you, I guess, can kind of take inspiration from like different things you've seen even from childhood into your filmmaking. Like you did a great job in like Back to Orlok's Castle. Like the fear, you felt the fear just from the shadows. Like, is Orlok actually behind Thomas? Like I think you did a brilliant job with that. Like the dinner
Like, what's
time.
POV? What's objective? Whose POV? It's Thomas's or is it Orlok's? Holy cow, and it's just going to pan when you don't expect it to. I mean, that's probably maybe a lasting um, lesson from, watching something like Tarkovsky, is that, you don't have to be so literal with the camera. You don't have to be so pedantic, like this person's talking and this is what they're looking at. Now we cut to that. It's like, you can really play with this stuff and kind of cast a spell, and that's the really fun stuff. So that maybe that's that's the movie that really opened that door, for me creatively.
Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. Like I said, I thought this movie was brilliant, so I was very proud to get to talk to you about this.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you.